Hello. This is a little video about how I set up my palette for acrylic painting. I know at least 3 of you have asked me how to get started with acrylics and how to set up an acrylic palette. So I'm sure that if there was 3, then maybe there might be more. So it's a small video, but I hope that it will be helpful to you. It has been for me. So this isn't the only way. Of course, there's other ways, but I'll show you a couple variations of it. What this is a plastic box, and it has the lid that fits. Sometimes there's, you just have to find yourself a plastic box or a Tupperware box or something like that. And what I have here is just a tracing paper, a block of tracing, and it happens to fit in perfectly. Now, I don't know if you're familiar. There's a store, it's called Daiso. They have quite a few, a vast selection of boxes and paper holders, and that's where I got this particular one. I think it was like $3 or something, like under 3. All right, so now this paper here is not necessary either. You don't have to have this. You could just use just the plastic box by itself without the paper. Use just the bottom of it, the plastic box. But I kind of like the paper because then I can just toss it, get rid of it. Also, you could have, instead of this paper, you can have some glass. Although if you do use glass, I like to, so it's not sharp, I like to have it like tempered glass, preferably, so you don't cut yourselves. All right, the next thing I do is I like to come in here with a paper napkin. 1 thickness is good. I don't like to do more than 2 thicknesses, because then it sucks up too much paint, and that's not what the objective of this is. What you want here is just to keep your paint moist. So I'm going to dampen that like that. You spray it or you wet it and then wring it out. And I was going to do some more painting, so I'll just show you right now how to do that. So usually I like to put my primaries, because I know most of the time you're going to need to use the primaries. So I'm pretty safe just taking out. And then, of course, always white. That's not a primary. That's the absence of color. But it's very important to have, because you make tints out of that. I usually find also raw umber is, I almost always need to use it. So, and red, I like to use the reds, and I like to have a cool red and a warm red. So that is, a cool red has a tendency to be like towards the burgundy shades. So if you have permanent rose, would be fine. Alizarin crimson is also considered a cool red. Permanent rose. And then we also have the other red, which is like a Santa red, more like has more yellow in it. It's more what you would think of like a tropical color. It has more kind of an orangey cast to it, kind of a peachy, shrimpy color, things like that. So that's how you think of when you think of reds. So you have your yellow, your blue, and your red. So like I said, the red, in theory, it's just red, but in reality, when we have to use it, when we need to use it, there's usually a cool and a warm red. And then your raw umber and my white. So that's like your security blanket right there, your safe palette. There's other beautiful colors like your Thalos, which are very beautiful, kind of electric looking, but they have to be usually you don't use them just by themselves, they have to be mixed. And those are wonderful to also have ready for or close by. And then what I like to do is before you get to your actual painting, you want to have a bottle that you can spray your paints with, because that's going to keep them open and in workable condition for a longer period of time. Now, what's so cool about doing it this way is, like, let's say that you are in the middle of a painting and all of a sudden you had to go somewhere. So you can just get the cover of your palette and just put the cover on and put it in the freezer or the refrigerator, and you will be able to continue painting because it will be open the next day, or even 3 to 4 days sometimes. And that's a really good thing. I never knew that before. When I was in school, I never knew that, and now I do, and it's wonderful to be able to keep your palette. Sometimes you have a mixture that's just what you wanted. You don't want to mess it up, and you don't want to have to remix, and it's just convenient. It saves your palette. Now, the other thing that is nice, once you are done with this and it got all dried up, then you can just lift this out and toss it. Or another alternative, which I have done, is just put some new paint over that dried up paint, and that also seems to work. Now, the other thing, what I wanted to say, if you don't want to use the paper, but you have a glass, that's even better. I prefer that, actually, because what I like to do is you just scrape it. If this was glass, you just scrape it. I like to, sometimes it gets stuck. The acrylic is a plastic, so it'll stick to your glass or whatever surface you're using as a palette. And it's with just a couple drops of regular alcohol, it just loosens everything, and it very easily you can just scrape it off with something, your palette knife, or I have this thing that works really well also. So it's like a chisel kind of thing. So that's just my little tips on acrylic palette setup. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, and I will see you later I will be doing the same thing on how I set up my a palette for China painting and then a palette for oil painting. Okay, have a great day. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.